Well, the clock's going behind me, so hopefully I am live now. We'll just double check here. And yes, double check here. Mute that. I'm hoping to get through a entire video without too many audio problems. Of course, we have things like the planes flying over, and from time to time the cats join in, but we'll get through it. It's Wednesday. It's for my new live streaming time. Glad to be back at it. Got a few things going on right now. Part 2 of my video on making a camera mount that'll work with any mic stand. Got that up yesterday. Part 3 got shut down because in the middle of the night, which is when I normally do a lot of this stuff, Fusion 360 went offline. So I decided to actually go to bed and try to get some sleep. But it's nearing the end of that one, so we'll get that posted. What else is going on? Well, that got delayed, and other things got delayed because I had a mudslide here. We had a fair amount of rain, and the mudslide was actually, I don't have a basement, I have a crawl space. It's more of a pit where my hot water tank and power panel are located. And the mud slid from the false walls, and where my sump pump is down there, it filled up with mud, and it actually took me a couple of days to figure out what the sound was, and it was the sump pump working away. So once I figured that out, I went down there, spent 3 days shoveling mud and figuring out how to get the sump pump fixed up. Got that going, and it's all good now. So time to get back into the 3D stuff. Well, what's new with the 3D? I got some less expensive filament to try out. It is from, let's make sure I get the right ones here. These folks, Filaments.ca, and with their area, I talked about it before. You got the Econofill, the master spool, and then you can get your filaments. Now you'll see that they're all sold out here. And what really happened with the Econofills is that same day that the filament arrived here, I got this letter that they put a recall out on the filament. They had a problem with the actual supply of the raw material, and so down below here they replaced their supplier. But now I've had some filament from some companies that it wasn't good filament. Might as well just throw it out. But that's just the way it was. But these folks at Filaments.ca found a problem with the filament, said, here it is. This is what might happen with yours. Brittleness or excessive stringing. If you're getting that, contact them and they'll make it good. So, kudos to them. And once again, they stress that it may be affected, it may not, so they don't know. But, so, as I said, kudos to Filament.ca. I like their product, and here, they've stepped up and said, look, we had a problem, so we're going to make it right. But so the reels are here, and let's see if I can show you some. And we'll just move this around. There we go. Loaded up. Gee, it's not black. So there's a loaded coil of their PLA Econofill. Actually, I'll go to a different camera here. Let's go to this one. You can see my messy desk. So these are your Econofill master spools. And it's fairly easy to work with them. We'll grab another box of the filament here. There we go. There's black. Now let's use something other than black. Blue. "3D printing nerd" will be happy about that. If I can get it out. Alright, test number 1, get it out of the box. Won't come out the front, take it out the back. So blue, they give you the batch number. The silica gel is in there. Now, one of the other nice things about filaments from Filaments.ca is when you buy from them, let me get this off to the side. In the recycling bin. For each roll of filament you get, they provide a bag to put it in. And I'm just popping this open so I can put the gel in there. There. I'll be ready. Anyways, I'll hang on to the batch numbers because of their problem. Their tie's done. There. Got our ties off. Put it directly on top with its cardboard core. Line these up. That's one nice feature you can't see, but they actually have it sloped on the inside here, so the pins glide right in. No effort at all to line this up. Just a nice thing to keep in mind when you're designing stuff. Tighten this up. And you're pretty much ready to go. Now, I haven't set up my slicers for this filament yet, so I'm not going to do a print with it right away. What I am going to do is grab this and just tuck it out the side. There. So that's Filaments.ca. As I said, they sent a letter out to anybody that purchased within the range with the Econofill, and they're going to make it good if you are having problems with it. And let's go up there. So now I can print blue, red, and I got a roll of black there. And I ordered 3 of the spools so I can just alternate them out. And I got a feeling I'm going to be going through a lot of this if it prints as advertised. So yeah, looking forward to making use of that. I thought I had it here, and I guess I moved it. I don't see it. Nope. Okay. Last week I talked about working with the printable scenery and the open lock system. Here we're back at, whoops, wrong one. Don't need to look at my gut anymore. Here's, some of their open lock areas. They have a number of designs for it. You get the various pieces. Let's see, let's go to the Rampage page. And, this is great for people who are into D&D or other games. They can use these, reconfigure the tiles in whatever shape you want. Now, if you're into 3D printing, and you're a gamer, you're fine, because you can print these away. But if you want to sell the pieces, you can't, because this belongs to printable scenery. But the templates that these are all built on, those are open source. So with the open source, it's great because you can get all the pieces, and I've gone ahead and loaded them all into Fusion 360. And so here's all the various templates they have. And the key about using the templates is you have a standard size, and they're all set up for the open lock system. So anything that you design on here could be mixed in with anything else that uses open lock. So you can see there's a lot of templates here to work with. But it's a flat surface, you have to add your texture. So my next project coming up with this, here we'll just bring this one in. So this is a wall piece, and you can see the open lock system here, the side tabs. Now, when I first started with playing with this open lock, these areas here really confused me. And the reason they confused me is the clips don't fit in there. It wasn't until I had another look at their video using the systems I realized that these are just here as built-in supports for the printing. Once you've done printing, you snip them out, and then the open lock fits into this larger area out here. So that's the standard, and there is a ton of pieces to work with it. And as I said, this is your work surface here. And this is what you're going to put your textures on. So, hi there. I'm looking forward to learning the process of how to build this. Now, the first one I'm going to do is not going to be this one. Let's see if I can find in here. We have ramps, all the various wall pieces. The curved sections. That's a 6x6 floor. Do they have the 4x4? I don't know. I believe this is the one. So here's a 4x4 floor piece. I'll end up designing. I'm going to start with something simple like a brick pattern that will go onto here. And so I have some learning to do on how we're going to do that, and figuring out and get used to working with the scale of these so that your bricks come out, but also you have to have your bricks so they interlock. So when the pieces are put together, that where you have half a brick on one piece, you have half a brick on the other, so it looks like you have a solid brick. So it's going through. Now the pieces I did already, I gave them to the guys that with the D&D group my daughter used to be with, and they're going to do some experimentation with the painting of them. But actually, I'm going. The reason I got this Econofill was, especially the black, is I'm going to be using it to do the printing of all these tiles, and just to see what I can do. And these are game pieces. You want cheap. You know, the black that I printed the initial pieces off, that's atomic filament black, and it is absolutely gorgeous. But delivered here, it's $58 for a kilogram, as opposed to $21 a kilogram for this stuff. So yeah, I don't need to be printing these in $58 filament. I'll save it for other stuff. And it's one of the things that I'm waiting for the Prusa multi-material unit to come along, because I have a few spools up here that are almost done, but you don't want to start a new print job with them. And once the multi-material unit's here, with its end of filament detector, it'll just automatically, when the first spool runs out, it'll swap over to the second spool. A great way to make up the use of all the material you have on hand. Before I start playing with this, because I am going to make some bricks on here, see how that works. Let's go back to here. Actually, we'll go back onto this camera. And hey, Rover. So this is the arm that I came up with for my camera mount. And if you see part 2, you'll see it posted up there. Part 3, which I'm will hopefully get done tonight or tomorrow, will go on how this failed. But I still think it's incredibly cool that you're able to print parts that have moving parts inside. You know, that arm for the ball joint, you know, the ball itself, that's embedded right inside the bottom piece there. And you know, you can't make things like this any other way, but here we are, we can make them at home. So that's pretty cool. This little sample here is just proof that whenever you're doing stuff that gets complex, that you need to print test pieces as you go along to make sure the process is working. And that's what I'm working on with the camera mount. Just give me a second here. There, you didn't need to hear me coughing away. Yeah, it's not a failure if you learn something. I did learn that some of my thinking is in the SLA world, my train world, where it's pretty small. And this stuff has to be a little bit bigger than what I actually set out to work with. It's, you know, fun stuff, you know, to play with, to design, and work with it. So my question is, within here, within Fusion 360, how am I going to work with this for the brick pattern and the offset? So what I'm thinking of in the back of my head here is I'll do very solid looking bricks within Fusion 360, and then I'll send the file over to come on, brain, activate ZBrush. Keep the brain going. And within ZBrush, I'll be adding texture to the brick, especially chipped corners, worn edges. I think for anything I do with this system, its final work will always end up being in ZBrush, because you want to crumble corners and put in grooves, or if it's a wood wall, you want to put in some wood texture in there. And I really wish I had this piece on hand. I had it out earlier today because I knew I wanted it for the show, and then I had someone come to the door, and I probably had it in my hand when I took it to the door. Well, here's the gate from Printable Scenery. There we go. But you can see how the rocks are in there. They're cracked. Get my thumb to move the right direction. You can see chips up there. You want that organic look to it. But so that's where, you know, I can't sell this piece. It's, you know, Printable Scenery. So, but I'll design my stuff, and what I'm looking at doing is I'll actually sit down with the DMs at the game shop. They have game nights almost every night for a variety of games, and then I'll find out what sort of things they want, and then I'll go about making that sort of stuff. Now, the other thing I came up as I was talking to them last week, I was showing the scanner. This is an XYZ scanner. I still actually haven't done a scan with it, but it is working now. It's functional. I don't have it plugged in. I've been doing other stuff with it. But one of the concepts that came up as I was up at the game shop talking to them was scanning people's face in and then modeling that into a action, you know, figurine. So their figurine in the game has their face on it, and that might be very doable. We'll see. Unfortunately, my Microsoft Surface went belly up. I can't get anything out of there. It has to be the power system. And if you have a Surface, you'll know that they're very well sealed units. You can't just get in there. So I don't have a portable computer right now. So either I'll have to get the person to come down here, or I'll have to scrounge a portable computer that I can install the files on, take it up to them. The big thing is you don't need a full head scan. You just need the face. So I'm going to be experimenting with that over the next few days and see what it's like to put a face on. It's almost like Game of Thrones with the assassins. I forget their name, but they have all the faces that they put on, faces that they've taken off of people who have died in their temple there. But anyways, we'll take a person's scan a person's face and size it in and put it into a figurine so they can actually have themselves out in the game. So I think that'll be fun. Anyways, what's the best thing to do here? Let's start a sketch. Where am I in? I'm in Sculpt. I put that in the model and create a sketch, and I'm going to, I have 3 dead laptops here right now. 2 of them, one's my daughter and one of mine. When we flooded in High River, we got back in about 10 days after the flood, and if you've never been through a flood, you won't realize that the water's nothing. It's all the dirt and the silt and the stuff that's inside the silt, because you got battery acid and chemicals, and it's just downright nasty stuff. But and you live in it for months afterwards. It's just gets into everything. And I felt my laptop, and the fans were clogged with it because the stuff's like glue. And on one of the computers I looked at, on the inside, it was on top of every chip and everything, and it was holding the heat in there, and it was cooking things. So yeah, that's what killed the laptops. But I wonder what the stats are going to be like for lung disease in those communities, 5, 10 years. It's 5 years after the flood now, so 10 years. Here I am. My voice is bad, but that's not because of the flood. But anyways, I got a sketch going here. And what am I going to do? Let's just do a simple, this is just going to be a test. Let's grab the thing for scale. I'll just go here. Trying to get a feel for the size of things to go in here. And these ones are 5 by 12. Just to get an idea of the scale I have to work with. So make this 5 millimeters, and I'm going to go with 10. Oh, we'll make them, I'll go with what they went, 12. Okay, let's zoom in on that. And let's do a press pull. And I want it to be just 1 millimeter. Do I want to taper it? Let's taper it. Let's go for a 1 degree taper. Now, did I get the right surface? I probably put that on the bottom. And I did. There it is. I put the surface on the wrong area. So, let's go back here. Let's hide this, by the way. And let's take this sketch, and delete it. And that's, now this is part of my learning curve here. It's coming up down there because this is a mesh, not an object. I would imagine that's why it wants to put the sketch on that area. So I'm going to have to learn how to put a sketch let's stop sketch. Let's just let's create a box. And we'll go through, and what did I say? It was 5 by 12. And height, we'll make it 1 millimeter. I'm making it as a new body. There it is. Let's grab that. I want to move the pivot point. Cancel. What's going on here? There's my brick. And when I see it like this, I have to find out the thickness so I can plant it right on there. Add some space. These bricks may be fairly small. So there's going to be a lot of tiles to put on here. So I'll have to come up with a system to have several of these bricks lined up and have a gap between them. That's where having it a little bit of a taper would be good, because you could join it so it comes in and there is a little bit of space on there. I'm just trying to see what they've done on here, and yeah, they have a bit of a slope to it. This is the Prusa Gray filament that I printed these in, mostly because that's what I had in the printer. So it'll take some time, but I'll have to make a pattern with these. I did that, and choose the bodies. I want it on that axis. Distance. I'll make this object. Now it wants to go the wrong direction. And that operation failed. And I haven't used that pattern very much, so I'm going to have to work on that. And I'm floating up here anyway. So I'm not going to do it while I'm live here. I have to learn how to work with mesh objects within Fusion 360. I have a few other things I have to do with that as well. So I'm not going to panic about it while I'm live. Always a learning curve, always something on there. My voice is failing rapidly, so I'm not going to continue much with that. With this Econofill, I have to do some test prints with it. I'll load up the black, I guess, and print a few things off to see if I do have that same stringing or brittleness problem with it. And hopefully not, but we'll have to see what happens. As I said, part 3 of the camera mount should be out tomorrow. We have Friday night chat on Friday. I don't know whose chat it's going to be. I think I missed the last one, so I think we're back to the EU this week. So that's about noon our time here in the Pacific. But and then my quick and dirty prints, I got the first one up there, and starting the second one, as I said, it was delayed by my mudslide down in the basement or in the mud hole. And the other thing is I'm having to learn. My cat has decided that a fun thing to do is to chew on the filament. So I have to figure out, I got my water bottle on hand, trying to train him that way. But a few times I've heard the filament working away. But I'm going to go before my voice disappears entirely. Thanks for popping in. And I'm going to keep pushing this to be here every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. And I'll get more updates there. And this week I may even get a blog done. Anyways, take care. And hopefully next week my voice lasts longer. Bye.